All right, for those of you that have been maybe under a rock or just not following Apple TV Plus, Paden and I have been diving into, or actually fully dove into and are done, thinking about rewatching again, Ted Lasso. And it's this amazing show of this coach who gets ripped out of his current environment into a brand new environment. And I'm going to have Paden describe the show because she really gets into the show like all the time throughout the entire day, or I'm just in the show in the moment. So who is Ted Lasso and what is this show?
Yeah, you're a better compartmentalizer than I am. I empath to the core and feel all the feelings for the characters and obsess about how I'm going to predict how the show unfolds. So that's what's really going on there. But Ted Lasso is this really disarming story that you just think is going to be comedy from day one. And it is. I mean, it's really funny. But it's this American football coach, D2 football coach, who has had unprecedented success in America and gets plucked out of his American coaching and thrown into England into a premier football club. Now, having been someone that has lived in England and also a former soccer player, it cracks me up to see this total culture clash that goes on, which is these super snarky, kind of embittered English players, and they're pissed because there's this yahoo of an American character that shows up with this southern drawl, these horrible jokes, which are really actually kind of funny, but if you like the dad joke genre. And then he comes in and wins people over systematically with zero knowledge of soccer, zero credibility in the industry, but he's just really good with people. And that's his shtick. That's what he's really excellent at. And it kind of takes you 3 episodes to realize, oh my gosh, the guy's actually good. People just don't see him coming.
Yeah, not good at soccer or premier football, but really good at emotional quotient or emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And that's how he coaches.
He knows how to build a team. That's what he does.
Right. Disarm high-level kind of type A people, make him drive in. And it's honestly, I think it's impeccably amazing writing
of
whoever wrote this and how they take, real life scenarios in the way I think about it and ties in this, as you said, disarming, approachable, we're going to work together. If the team doesn't work together, then we're never going to win. In fact, he even goes to the point, a slight spoiler alert, that the team camaraderie is more important than winning. And obviously that is battled to a point in the show. But what brings up this big topic, and something that we've been talking a lot about, is how much in the movement training space, trainers, personal trainers, coaches, anything from any sport, what's the most important and kind of most overlooked aspect of coaching? If you're a professional sport coach, if you're, all the way to us as a training staff, is it your IQ? Is it what is the battleground of Instagram and what movements are good and should you train in the transverse plane and what's your ankle doing and subtalar eversion and all these different, right? That's a huge battleground in Instagram, the visual of it all. But what Instagram or anything doesn't really pick up is how you display that information to the clientele in front of you, to the athletes in front of you. And that's what we're really going to be diving into today because it is massive.
It's a huge miss. And so I remember early on, you and I were chatting, early on, I want to say 10 years ago, we were talking about leadership and we were talking about the skill sets of a good coach. And I just kind of want to dive into that for a minute, which is having my background being more in marketing and more corporate and a lot of startup culture, but with the corporate desire to be skilled and to build skills. And the first thing that most of us do, so I'm going to talk outside of fitness because I think fitness is super unique, but could learn a few things from this, which is as soon as you become a manager, and how I'm defining manager is somebody that has to get a group of people to do something, has and is tasked with motivating and inspiring them to want to do something, as well as critiquing, correcting, and refining how they do it. And when you're tasked with that, it doesn't matter if you're a good person, a fun person, an energizing human, if you're a jokester, if you're super fun on the floor, whatever your style is, doesn't matter what you come to the table. Every single other industry takes leadership really seriously. And if they don't have a corporate training structure in place, like as the new manager, you're going to go invest in your skill set. You're going to watch YouTube channels on it. You're going to try to level up. You're interested in an executive coach because you know your career hinges on you understanding and mastering leadership and management. And it's powerful and it's super absent in fitness. And what I see is so often trainers are, take me or leave me. You either like me or you hate me. And just trading on this personality, most of whom are really energizing people. Like they already come to the table with this great energy, but they never evolve it from there. They never strategically hone. They never decide this is, and even be open to criticism, where are their gaps? They might naturally connect with one style, but is that the limit of their abilities? And most of the time that is. Most people show up with their great personality and only connect to other people with similar great personalities. And in doing so, leave out 75% of the capabilities that they could otherwise have.
That's an interesting statistic that we'll certainly dive into more. But it makes me get back to because I grew up in the 90s, right? And the Chicago Bulls, that was it. I mean, Michael Jordan.
Even I was a fan.
Dennis Rodman, Scottie Pippen, right? These huge personalities. I mean, especially Rodman and Jordan.
Yeah.
And how did that coach, right? How did Phil bring them together to win championship after championship? To me, that's what I think. But did he teach them basketball? Did he make them better basketball players? I don't really think so. I really don't. It was about managing the dynamic of that team so they can skill themselves together to be an unstoppable, obviously, force. And that's what I look back to the coaching side, and I look at how we did it at Gymnazo. And it started very purposefully, even though I didn't understand it. It was a mentor of mine really diving in, coming from the corporate world of NBC, John Secunda, amazing man, and understanding you have to talk to people. And he said that to me. How do you present yourself? How well do you know yourself? I think that's where it all starts.
Yeah.
Do you just do it? And a lot of people just do it. And I thought that was interesting. And a small little side little thing here, but Paden and I's kind of first dates in a sense, or business dates, but it was definitely a business date. So I felt very comfortable being this story in a sense. But I said, here am I on paper, and it was my strength finders. And many more things, but it was a strength finders. This is who I am. I'm strong in belief. I am strong in relator. I like a lot of input. I'm a learner, and I command. Those are my top 5. And it was very much a huge awakening for me as a movement practitioner because I knew where my strengths were, and I could say them. And so I said, this is me being an input. This is me collecting all this information. This is where my command is showing up. So it's if you can untap and reverse engineer a product, how well do you know it? How well can you tap into its weak points and its strong points? And I think that's what really was a huge growth factor for our business is the soft skills. And I'm going to say it. It's a soft, untangibles, EQ, how you make a room smile, shine, come together. Because guess what, trainers out there? You are a leader. You are a professional coach. And people look up to you every single hour, half hour, session, da-da-da-da-da. And if you can't capture that, doesn't mean you're a bad trainer, but you're leaving a lot on the table.
Yeah, you're missing out on what's possible for you.
And that's the culture. We have a lot of culture, right? A lot of people drinking the Kool-Aid, CrossFits, the Orange Theories, the Soul Cycles, but what made that? Did it just happen organically? Maybe, but could it happen a lot faster? And I think that's what we want to dive into a lot. And so from the corporate side, if you're a manager, you express things. Paden, I want you to kind of think what are the skill sets that you've either noticed that we had in before when you came on board, or things that you brought that you and now see our coaches do?
So the biggest, the biggest truth is, to me, people hire coaches, not coaching programs. And we say that a lot if you hang out with us on YouTube or in this podcast, because it's really anchoring and validating. If you realize as a trainer, like they're going to buy you. Yeah, it'd be nice if you had some smart workouts behind you. Yeah, it'd be super cool if you were like a movement guru that could tweak on the fly and like validate or help people navigate through dysfunctions, aches, pains, tightness, etc. But ultimately, why they come back is because of you. And that's the truth in corporate America is that more people are likely to leave. When they leave an organization, it's about their manager. If they have a powerful manager that they're loyal to, they will stay. So retention of employee to manager is about the relationship of the manager. Well, you apply that to fitness, that's the coach being the manager and the athletes being the employees, if you will. And I know it's kind of a stretch. We don't normally think of it like that, but the loyalty is to that coach. Now, we have business strategies on where that can be risky for your business to like have all your eggs in one basket with like this one coach dominating the scene. But the truth is, when you really unpack the skill set of each coach individually, which I think you did a really good job when I first came into the Gymnazo scene, it was you and Trevor. And you and Trevor had both gone through this one-on-one coaching program with John. That's really unique to begin with. Like, you guys had already individually, I don't think you made Trevor do it. I think Trevor watched you do it and was like, sign me up. I want this man speaking into my life. I want him helping me own and identify where I have a unique skill set. And so you had already validated that he doesn't have to be you to be a coach in your business. And I think that's really powerful because a lot of trainers miss that and kind of feel the stress and anxiety that if they don't say it like you say it, how you say it, and are like you to their clients, the clients won't accept a new coach. And that's just not true.
That's a fallacy, and it's actually a fault of a business that you
Yeah.
have to replicate yourself because it's impossible.
Yeah, take the pressure off of you for doing that, and also give your future coaches the opportunity to be really powerful in their own right. And so for me, that was really cool. You already had that. What seemed to be a really cool opportunity was that how you guys quickly identify and type communication styles of your clients, and how you shift, how you describe workouts, how you motivate, how you correct, like all the little pieces. And the mantra is, don't treat people the way you want to be treated, which is the number one issue in training, in my opinion, is trainers go, that's just how I am, and I'm going to talk to you the way I want to be talked to. I'm going to coach you the way I want to be coached.
Subconsciously, more often than not, like, that's just who I am. So.
Yeah, it's just who I am. Accept me. I'm super authentic. Like, I'm who I am. And there's this whole authentic movement. And I'm not going to speak ill of that, but you're missing out on the real platinum rule, as they call it, which is treat people the way they want to be treated. And if you have a heart of service, you know that reaching that heart in front of you, so it's like your heart reaching their heart, sorry to get all like
Go for it.
fluffy and
That's all about.
heartwarming
It
here,
is
but if that's your goal, it's like you've got a fire in your heart and you're trying to light it in somebody else, they may not be lit the way you do, like for you. So you need to figure out, what do I do to inspire this person? What do I do to bring a smile to their face? And guess what? It's going to be different for that person than the other three buddies that you naturally clicked with. As soon as they walked in the gym, you're like, that's like my tribe. And you go there.
I can almost sense it.
You can sense it, you can feel it, like you don't even know you're lighting up in a different way. Now everyone thinks you're playing favorites because you just found people that get you. They laugh at your jokes, they compliment your music, they wear the same style. Like, you just kind of gravitate towards your tribe, but you can't do that as a professional. And if you're really coming from a place of service, you never want to compromise your authenticity as a coach, and that's where I think individually strengthening your core sense of self and who you are as a coach is really powerful. But you need to build a bridge of communication to reach the hearts of people that aren't necessarily like you.
And we've broken it down. We have a lot of different tools. I really want to say it like that. I wish I invented these things. That'd be pretty awesome. But it's really just tools that we have accessible, and a lot of books. And
Yes.
I was just chatting with a fellow MDMCer, and like just the books that are in our course, and she's like understanding them. And I'm gonna share a few of them with you because they're just great books. Mindset. is a great starting point. Growth mindset or fixed mindset. Like, are you already set up?
So it's called Mindset by Carol Dweck.
Thank you very
She's a
much.
Stanford PhD who figured out there's a fixed mindset that keeps you back from your potential and growth mindset that propels you into a very vibrant future that you can create.
Yeah, and all of us are predisposed to one or the other,
Yeah.
simply put. And the other one, are you ready for this one? If you're listening to this one, write this one down. How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yep. Such a classic.
Dale Carnegie. It's an old school book, but it is like the test. It stood the test of time.
I thought you were going to say it's like the Tesla of books.
Oh,
You don't know this about Michael.
it could be the Tesla of books.
At least it was the first one that you really anchored in before I even joined Gymnazo. That one and Strength Finders. Those were your two.
Right. And it's really about this human relations. Like, that's what we are. Like, again, I'm going to say this, like, you can be the smartest person in the world. You can be that amazing professor. But if you can't communicate what you're doing, it really, it's pointless. I'm going to say it that boldly. It misses the mark. And that's hard to hear. And if you're a trainer out there who really kind of wants it, like, I have so much to share, how do you share it? And it kind of, goes into even our whole philosophy as a facility, and something we've worked on a lot. It's not just the culture. The culture is the equals part of the equation. It's what happens from all the exponents. If I'm saying that analogy in a way that
It
you can
sounded super smart.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Just roll with it.
But that's the end result of everything. But how we coach someone into a brand new first time session. And what we put ourselves in their shoes. And we look at personality types in a very simplistic way, that there's 4 different types. Myers-Briggs, you got 16 types. Enneagram, you have 9 types in a sense, right? There's other ways to kind of classify it. Well, let's break down the most simplest way so we can make a quick decision, and to really talk to that athlete in a way that you understand and you can pick up from in 30 seconds that they're not like you. And that's okay. In fact, that's great for your business, because you want people that are not like you. And to coach them and to give that first exercise in a way that they hear it. Not just like, okay, let's do a deadlift and it's going to make your legs look awesome. They can care less about your legs.
They're not there for their legs.
They want to know
the opportunity.
Yeah, they want to know how their knees are supposed to be and what it should feel like. And this other person wants to know, like, how it's going to make them move with their grandchildren better. And that's how they're perceiving it. And so to speak to that is huge. I want you to kind of dive into that a little bit. Maybe you can give it all away or not. I'll let you make that decision. But
if you're still listening to this episode, we're going to give some gold right now. And so here's the thing. There's a lot of research out there since the start of Carl Jung's research, actually back in the late 1800s. And he really realized that you could start predicting behaviors based on some of these personalities. And that's really where personality psychology really evolved from that point on. And then they started to realize, like with the Myers-Briggs mother-daughter combination, that job fit is predictable. So certain people are going to enjoy a desk job, if you will, doing accounting, because they're oriented in that way. That's going to be successful for them. Other people would rather die, and they would rather be in front of live humans, leading, inspiring, and connecting. And like, that's their thing. Whereas like different types would go, oh my gosh, that's my worst fear. And so they started going, wow, this is really great. Like, I wonder if we could start using this as a business tool. And so from there, we progressed into, there's personality, which we know half of us is fixed from birth. Like it's inherent, if you will. And the other half of us is evolving through life experience, like education, crazy life events that just like change everything. Like you almost get in a car crash and like your life flashed before your eyes, and like you show up and you start evolving into a whole different type of person. And so, but we know that communication style is inherent, and people are born like wild personalities, super like connectors with other people, and all these different things. And so we know that that's possible. And so just as you know that, there's 4 different communication types. There's decision makers, there's encouragers, there's trackers, and there's facilitators. And those type of people, some are introverted, some are extroverted, some are big picture thinkers, some are realistic, kind of in the moment. But the point is, like, you can figure out who these people are with things like tone of voice, rate of speech, how detailed they are, how serious they look. And sometimes we call that resting bitch face. Like, if they just look mean and pissed, that actually clues you into a communication style. And they don't know that they're looking this like nasty at you. They think that they're just a serious person, and they come in and you're like, geez, if you're a real extroverted, happy-go-lucky type of person, you're sitting there going, oh my gosh, I don't understand what's happening here. This person hates me. No, they don't. They just have a different communication style than you. They're just more stoic. They're just more factual, which tells you don't relate to them through emotion. Relate to them through facts. Relate to them through data, and they'll love you. So like that's an example. And so a lot of times what we see is super extroverted coaches that are like what we call encouragers typically, which is where they're really into people, they're really into connection, they're really into fun and playful, and they have to relate to types of people that don't care at all about how they feel in the workout. They want to know that they crushed their workout metrics wise. They want to know that their form was perfect. So they don't want to be motivated by having a fun time. They probably could care less if there's even music on. They just want to crush the workout. And if you misread that, you miss an opportunity to connect. So that's just one example.
So 4 different types. You're one, just like you have you're right-handed or left-handed for the vast majority of us.
Yeah, that's a good way of saying it.
Right, but that doesn't mean that you cannot use your other hand to write a name or to do other things. It's just harder to do so.
And when we're in autopilot or under stress, we divert back to the primary way in which we communicate. So even if somebody has emotional intelligence and they know how to pretend to be playful for the cause of the social interaction, when they're stressed out, when you've corrected them, when you're not delivering for them what they want in the workout, they go back to what they know, which is going to be that default state where they're looking pissed again. And you're like, oh gosh, there's the face again. Like, they must hate me. And if you can just build some tools and awareness around what's really going on, you can, it'll kind of run off your back like water off a duck. And that's what you want.
Right. And that's kind of from the defensive side. From the offensive side, you get to be able to tone in a little bit more, tune in, and change your tone is what I wanted to say. Change your tone towards that particular person. And I'm going to give an example of what we do exclusively is that certain members, certain athletes want to hear their name said. Like they're like, yeah, like, you know, like Paden, you're crushing it from like across the facility. Amps you up, makes you work harder. But there's another type who actually that would do the opposite. It would actually make their workout less enjoyable because they don't want that.
Well, social anxiety.
Yeah, they don't want that attention.
Yeah.
They love the workout, but they would love it if you walked up next to them and said, hey, Paden, you're crushing it. Only you can hear that. That amps them up. And if you like, I hope that is like a big brain explosion for a bunch of people because that is huge. And we even had members want to leave because we didn't understand that yet. And like, why'd they give us a bad rating?
Yeah.
Because they were felt picked on. They felt picked on by our most outrageous, awesome coach. And this client left in tears.
Yeah.
Right? Do you remember that?
I do remember that. And then we try to dig into like, what did we get wrong? Because we're like so receptive to feedback. Like, hey, if we don't mind getting things wrong, we just never want to do it again.
Right.
If we can avoid the second, third repeat offenses, like we'll avoid those. But for now, so yeah, I remember that client was in tears and we went and talked and we really understood and unpacked it. And it was like they felt called out. Like picked on. And all we knew, all that coach was doing was rocking his dynamic personality and coaching her the way they wanted to be coached.
Like what they do about it?
Yeah, so our takeaways from that conversation was really illuminating. It was like, okay, this pretty much, let's just call it introvert, like a total
Client,
soft-hearted,
athlete.
introverted client or athlete, as we like to say, which we'll dig into a little bit here in a minute. She wanted to feel like special, one-on-one, like come alongside next to her, almost not whisper in a creepy way, because I feel like if a coach comes up behind a client and just starts whispering, this is going to backfire on us.
Hello.
Yeah, like cringy. So not that, but if you just kind of like stand next to like you're a friend and just go like, hey, so-and-so, like I love what I see you doing. Like, thank you for making time for yourself. Like you're crushing it. That would go so much farther than, yeah, Kristen, you're killing it, or whatever their names were, yelling across and making everyone want to look at that person and be like, why is she crushing it so much? And that's like her worst nightmare. So just really treating people the way they want to be treated. And this is where empathy and putting yourself into someone else's shoes, even if you've never been in those shoes, but just imagining what it would be like to feel that like uninspired by attention. Like they just don't want attention. And for most coaches, you're good with attention because you're in that space. Like you're stepping up as the leader of that group.
Well, here's another thing to think about as we've run our internship over the last decade is that if we have an intern who's a great coach, on it, detailed, has the knowledge, has the EQ really, but the EQ in an environment that is controlled, the lights, aren't on them because it's an internship. It's a staged environment. But then we start putting them into one of our drills, and I love one of these drills. We literally are in our 13,000 square foot facility, and one of our drills is yell the ABCs as loud as you can. And the only people that are around are the coaching staff and the other interns. And it's amazing to see how certain interns respond.
Yeah.
And some people just go right for it, belt it out. And others, like, you see their face.
Yeah, they're like, you mother.
Yeah, like, no way. And that, again, not good or bad, but it really kind of points the story. And there's one particular intern who I really want to just pull out of the story. She came out and says, I'm going to be a great one-on-one coach. At least that's where I want to go now. And the group, I just don't feel it. And the cool thing is I feel strongly she built her skill set to go into group, but she did it on her time and her path versus saying, hey, we're hiring for a group coach and that's it.
Yeah.
And it was long story short, she identified that strength in her, and that's where she went. And I thought that was great.
Yeah.
And so as a coach, if you're like, I am more of an introvert, good. And don't keep busting your butt trying to make this amazing over-the-top group training. Maybe you just have 1 or 2 a day.
Well, and that's
versus all day long.
Yeah. Yeah, so let me clarify a few things if you're listening. We have learned over time that there are certain personalities for coaching that where they are naturally thriving in a group social environment quicker. It doesn't mean long-term they're better, just initially they're strong and they have an assuredness around their skill set. But we've found that you can actually hire any personality type to be a successful group coach, but the amount of effort and the amount of shifting that it's requiring does vary.
Right.
So I just want to say that because
the longevity burnout.
Yeah, I wouldn't want someone to listen to this and be like, oh, you can only be like a playful extrovert, Labrador puppy style person.
No way.
Like that's not what we found. We have found that those people are very hit the ground running and accelerate with focus. They still need focus. And that's what we're talking about today is if you feel like you're a natural fit, you probably are. And you can probably skate on that for a while. But building a long-term business, building and attracting people to help work it with you, like you're going to just need a lot more training and skill building around it. And so that's what I would say. The other thing that you commented on it a few seconds ago that's really powerful, which is that particular intern that self-identified through the internship process, that she felt more suited right away in building a business in a one-on-one, more private context because she felt like she's shown in that environment. That's really affirming. And like, that's
It
a
is.
successful moment to say, I see me shining in this context. Because when you identify and anchor into your sweet spot, you go all in on that sweet spot and you build and grow around where you're naturally good. That's what it is. Like, you come to the table with a natural raw skill set, you can grow, blossom, and direct it in a lot of ways, but you want to come home. Because when you're home in your skill set, you create energy. And when you follow and build and like navigate your career around what drives and brings good energy into your life, you will have a happier career. And this is me putting my like consultant hat back on and like executive coach headset on, because it's just, I see people trying so hard to fit themselves as a square peg into a round hole, and it's miserable. And when you do that, and you're trying to get a business off the ground, even if you're a solopreneur or a trainer just trying to build up a clientele, and you're trying to build it up around a skill set that you think is the smart skill set to build, or the high leverage skill set because you want money and freedom, but it doesn't give you life, that's not a good long-term move. And all of this is about long-term gains.
Right. So another kind of case study, I'm going to use me.
Okay.
Because I'm unique in a few sets, and I'm not trying to toot a horn here in a sense, but like my personality type and how I communicate is I'm strong on 3 of them, but I'm really poor on 1 of them. And the one I'm really poor on, my business partner Paden is her strongest, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But when I'm in my best is that I have a session that's group in the morning time. Bring the energy, go for it. And then I convert into like a one-on-one, reverse engineering a movement dysfunction. And then go to like a semi-private, which is more technical chatter. It's not like high energy. And then maybe end the day, with another one-on-one. Like I love all 3.
You love the variety.
And I go home and I'm like, how was your day? It's like, it was awesome. I loved it. And it's really powerful to me to do. Like, I can do that day in and day out.
Yeah.
And that's really cool. I'm going to throw in a third mix because I'm an owner, kind of operator in a sense, but I also did a bunch of like equipment, inventory and purchase, and understand like where's some stuff should go in the facility for flow. So that's kind of more the detail side of things. And that's, so I want you to find that.
It energizes you.
It actually, it feeds it versus, again, we've had some coaches that like, they're like, I'm going to do 4 group sessions in a row.
Yeah, like that'll kill me.
Yeah.
That'll wait me out. I need to recover for 3 hours on the couch.
Over the top. So again, understanding and having that confidence, that's why I brought up Strength Finders. Like, I knew what my strengths are. And if you do, and if you're a coach working for an organization, if they know what it is, that's it. Burnout is a huge part of this industry. And hence it's why it's kind of a hobby job. Like, I used to be a trainer.
Yeah, because you couldn't make it work.
Yeah, and maybe it was the EQ of the entire business plan that made it not work. Not your skill set, not your intelligence, not your ability to kind of put together programming. You just every day you're like, why am I doing this?
So I got to bring up the rubber band analogy. And so if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see my little rubber band right here. And the idea is like all of us have these proclivities or this natural bias towards a style. So for example, if we just use training as an example, for a lot of people who get energy from other people and get like, it becomes this like generator of energy, like just the giving and receiving of energy, and it creates like this fireball of fun for you. Like, you could probably knock out more group training than somebody that's a little bit more technical, not technical in this intelligence side, but more detailed and process and really wants to problem solve it and really focus in on something. And so it's like your skills are a rubber band, and you can flex into a skill set that's not primary for you, and you can do that, but you can't sustain it. Otherwise, you're either going to get, you're going to eventually get so stressed in that and not be able to sustain it that it snaps and you just can't do it anymore and you burn out. And we see burnout happening a lot. And burnout can happen because you are a trainer who just wants to train people and you hate running your business. And every time you sit down and have to run your business, it zaps and sucks all the life out of you. And you're miserable going, is this even what I want to do? Well, yes, it is. Training is what you really want to do. That's what lights your heart on fire. This business stuff is stressing you out. And that's so often what we see in our industry is that the practitioners, the coaches want to motivate, correct, inspire, and get results for their clients. Like, that's what they're here for. And somewhere along the line, they have to shift into business mode. And then the bigger and more successful their business gets, the more coaches they add to it, the more they have to phase themselves out as a coach, which was the very thing that gave them a heartbeat. And that's where, in our example, I could come alongside and do that piece because that lights me up, and you could be set free to coach. And that's been part of what's worked for us.
Yeah, and also, just to be transparent, I'm coaching the least I've ever coached in my entire career, and I'm actually having just as much fun.
I know, you've had to reconcile your guilt around that.
Yeah, it's a very big deal. Very big deal.
You definitely have the whole, like, if I can do it, I should do it.
Yeah.
And we've really had to work on, like, shifting that.
But again, back to the EQ again, is I want to talk about like correcting people and motivating people and step into that piece, because that's where coaching is truly coaching.
That's what Ted Lasso did so well.
Right? Thanks for bringing it full circle. It's like it's managing the group of athletes in front of you, the team. We always say, all right, team, let's get ready to rock and roll for this warm-up. That's what you're really doing. You're bringing a bunch of very, very fun, spirited people into one environment, and we ask a question of the day, for the most part, or at least a conversation starter of the day, and you're going to get some answers that you didn't expect. Especially around the pandemic, especially around election times, especially around holidays and family. And those happen about once a month if you really throw those all together. And you have to manage that.
Yeah, you have to sidestep the polarizing comment that could really change the dynamic.
Or absorb it.
Yeah.
And completely take it front on and keep moving. And do that because you want to create community and foster that. Who wants to walk into a facility and be like, okay, we're working out. Here's the drills. Let's go for it. Let's put on some Mozart and let's just go.
Mozart.
Certainly inspiring.
We have a brother-in-law who would be very inspired by that workout routine playlist.
Playlist, definitely, but not this type. It's a rock concert, right? A workout should be, in a sense, more like that, in a sense. So you have to foster that communication. And when someone brings in a polarizing comment, it's your job, coach. You're the coach. You're the leader. How are you going to do it? How are you going to not offend somebody? And how are you going to turn that situation and let that person who made a polarizing comment, which may not be a bad comment, and have that be, okay, thanks for your comment.
Yeah, or
but
you might actually agree with the comment, but you're watching six people's face just turn, and you're picking up on their energy, and they just shifted down hard. And you're like, oh, your ultimate goal is not to create connection individually with people. It's to create the alchemy of the group. Like, you're trying to curate the full experience. And you have to be loyal to that first over your personal opinions.
And not to be freaked out when it happens, but anticipate it every single day. And again, as a coach, like, we have that confidence. I think that's a big piece of it, and to have a confidence to do a backflip off a diving board. Same kind of move. That's from a movement side of things. Well, how do you have that confidence when it's literally election time and you do your very best because that one athlete's coming in,
wearing their shirt or their red hat or whatever it is.
Yeah, or their blue sticker on their water bottle. Just go for it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm proud to say that during the election time, guess what wasn't talked about?
The election.
The election. And it was like totally understood.
But what do we tell our coaches? What are the topics that they should avoid at all costs?
Manage at all costs, right? Avoid, I totally get you.
As long as they can control it, sidestep artfully, and refocus on a very neutral topic as soon as they're brought up.
Right, and we kind of all will probably know what we're going to say here because it's the same thing that happens at Thanksgiving dinners. It's religion, it's politics, and the third one is a little bit more kind of
It's religion and politics for the most part.
But then it goes into like personal preferences around, I don't want to say religion and politics, but like personal preferences that are like unwavering.
Like a rigid belief.
Yeah, right.
Well, not necessarily. If you say, what's the one car for the rest of your life you would ever drive? And like for you, that's like a very strong stance. For others, they'd be like, I really don't care.
Right, but we're talking about like, philosophies in a sense. Because we've had this question of the day, just to let you all know, we've gone deep into it. And we're talking, talking Plato at times. And we're like, some people are like, what are you talking about? That's kind of like when people, it's when the question of the day gets to one person.
Yeah.
It doesn't include everyone else.
Well, and here's something that just came up for me, which was we've had in 2 instances members lose a significant other, husband, sister, brother.
Oh, that's right. That's another
like
kind of
wife.
a fourth piece. Yeah.
And so they're coming in and they're stepping in to escape reality for a minute because it's painful. And if you are the kind of coach like that we want to groom and create around us, we know that. And when we know that, when they step on the floor, that question of the day actually doesn't happen because that all that will do is create this social anxiety in this person who's coming here to turn their brain off and they're not coming here to connect. And as weird as this sounds, like there's times where we might actually just allow the coach to just monologue for a minute, tell a funny story, and maybe say, guys, today we're going to coach through the warm up a little bit more. I'd like you to go into your body and pay attention. And they're doing it because that person walked in, and they will lose it and start crying if they even have to answer anything personal.
How's your weekend?
Yeah.
That's the question.
How's your weekend?
Well, let me
Yeah.
tell you how my
like
weekend
that's a
was.
pit in your stomach.
Right.
And when you know someone's walking in with that, you don't even want to go there.
And-
What's your favorite popsicle flavor? That might just bring up this memory of them sitting down
know.
next to their sister
So
and
true.
like enjoying summer popsicles. And now they want to cry because that sister's not here anymore. Like this is real stuff. So we do kind of we talk about how do we navigate those things.
Yeah, and as a front desk staff, if you guys have a front desk staff, like, you can't catch everything. You can't know every athlete's life outside of the facility, but as much as you possibly can, having that internal network of communication from front desk staff, email, who maybe don't have a front desk staff. We
Yeah.
didn't for a long time. But it's really, using the tools and the resources available. We use Slack, actually.
Yeah, we just got a Slack message last night saying, hey, we got a new member who just bought a house. Next time you see him, congratulate him. It's a big thing for him.
Right.
And so now I guarantee a coach is going to be like, so-and-so, like so big. Like, and they know that he's okay with that external kind of praise. Like, congratulations on buying your house and like a huge milestone. You must be feeling like $100, $1 million maybe, but.
Yeah,
Probably
I like
in California, it's probably more like $1 million. $10.
$100.
$100.
A few
We're
of those
talking about
for my
Oklahoma
termite.
here. So.
So let's kind of wrap this up because I hope what Paden and I were talking about comes across. Like, you have to be intelligent about movement mechanics and programming and the physiology and the biology, right? I get that, right? And a lot of us in this field, especially this emerging, super bleeding edge training I won't say environment, but it's really the industry is going. You're either an entertainer, trainer,
Yeah.
right?
Like the motivational speech.
You're right.
You're on, like, Soul Cycle taught me this the first time I went to Soul Cycle. Was like, I just got preached. Like, I came to church on a bike, and I'm here for it, but it was not a good workout for me. I sweated. But, like, it was because they gave me a freaking motivational, inspiring speech. And I was like, wow, that's literally 80% of the brand right there for me. The experience was rooted in the communication of the coach. So that's what we're saying is like an entertainer trainer.
Who's bringing in the party in
Yeah.
a sense, but not necessarily a great workout or a well-rounded workout. There's a lot of ways to do that. Or you have that movement master
Yeah.
and that guru who, like, man, they're looking at the anterior tilt of your pelvis in correlation to the external rotation of your knee and how that's affecting your medicine ball throw.
Yeah, and that's our kind of trainer, quite
and
honestly.
they're doing massage therapy as your group training at the same time, and that's kind of more like us, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But we understand that you can do both to a degree.
They
right?
both take skill.
They both take a lot of skill and practice.
If you got to deliver like a 45-minute, like, lift up your heart, lift up your eyes, and see what's possible, and pedal through your shit. Like, if that's your style, I mean, you don't just wake up with the speech. Like, you refine it, you dial the music in. Like, it's a full experience, and you can't have a dynamic workout and pull that off. You need people to just be so repetitive they can turn their brain off. Is it the best workout? For sure not. Is the workout what they're really trying to go after? No, it's not.
Right, and it's okay to have both of that. Again, there's certain companies that, like the Soul Cycle, they bring the soul. Right? That's what they do, and they do a great job of it. I'll be flat out about it.
Yeah,
and there's
we
some
both
people,
enjoy it.
Yeah, there's some people who just bring the hardcore. I'm just going to go for it, and we'll just use a classic example of like a CrossFit. It's just going to be a hard workout. You go there to work hard. And then there's the alternatives and there's the other options. And
We go to yoga and it's like a
Thank you.
body image, body conscious love and acceptance session. And it's
Right.
super gentle movements. And it's also a form of an inspirational, motivational talk.
yeah, and in this industry of movement, there's like a 31 flavors of stuff. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of options. So what we're proposing for those who are in kind of the movement fitness, I want to use the word boot camp, but that kind of like, we're just a group training. This is where we can really shine and come through on a whole different level. Because again, I'm going to say it, the soul cycle, you're going to get preached at. You don't have an option.
Yeah.
You know,
You have to listen.
you got to listen. I mean, you got to be there.
You're stuck there.
Yeah, you're stuck. You're locked into the bike.
And in Bikram yoga, they won't let you out of
The
the place.
door's
Like,
locked.
good luck. If you pass out, we'll get you at the end. Like, it's a whole different
Yeah.
thing.
So it's really being that master of both IQ and EQ, and that's
Yeah.
where the MDMC course really comes in strong, and where we felt super passionate about it.
Yeah.
Is that we want you to have that skill set and to know that there's so many tools out there. A
Yeah.
lot of them are technology based.
Yeah.
And why can't we have this convergence of technologies come into the movement space?
Yeah.
Because as our knowledge of the human body has dramatically increased, we need to follow that trend line, understand how we can use technology, computer technology, and how we can understand mental. Because how many life coaches are out there now? And I'm not saying that in a bad way. How many
It's a
people are
lot.
understanding that mindset is
Yeah.
so critical? And if you're a coach and you realize that the body is connected to the mind, and the mind is connected to that soul, that spirit of theirs, and if you can influence all of them,
Yeah.
really, the intelligence of somebody, the personality of somebody, the physicality of somebody, and that all equals the spirit, soul, community side of things. And our big comment is, you're going to come in here and we're going to go after your physical. That's our focus. Knowing that we can tap into the mental and knowing that those two change the soul.
Well, because
Or influence.
where we are right now in societies, there's still, I think it's shifting, but there's still some shame around admitting that you need professional help to go to sort through the hangups, the darkness, and like the shadow side. And we don't accept that, but we're far more willing to write a check to get our body to push through some of those feelings and get into a euphoric state. And that's what we understand. But so often when people come into fitness, especially if you're not a performance facility working with specific high-level athletes, or you're actually training a team of athletes for competition, but you're talking about general population training, most of the time they're coming in for mind and soul relief. And it's
True.
actually not their physicality.
No.
That's the thing. Because if they say, I want to be in a perfect bikini body by summer, what's behind that?
Why?
Self-love, self-acceptance, the attachment to food and these habits and the shaming and the diet culture and the starve yourself so you can earn your food. Like, there's so much going on right there that has nothing to do with your body.
You know what? I'm kind of bummed I said this at the end of the podcast, but like, our trainer job is to move physics. That's the least important thing.
Yeah.
I wish I would have said that in the beginning. That's the least important thing. But that's what
Yeah.
we spend all this time on emphasizing. We do too.
Yeah.
The biomechanics of it all. It's the least important thing.
I mean, it's important, but here's what's
Well,
ironic.
so of course this is important, but that's not why they're there.
Yeah. And what's most ironic to me in the fitness industry, or really any profession that feels technically like they have to prove their worth, and I think that the credibility is like in your intelligence. I want you to think about the last time somebody corrected you on Instagram and came at you with research, logic, and was in your face, throwing things in your face. Did you like them? Did you respond well? Was it a good moment? Or was it a slap you in the face, I have high IQ, but no one likes you? And like for me, it's like, okay, people are so much more ready to pull out their wallet for movement science, for intelligent modifications, for pain knowledge. And that's really important. Like, we understand that. But what you need to also be balancing that is just as much attention on cultivating and really understanding your sweet spot in communication and motivation and correction, where you're really strong and where you're blind. You're flying blind in relationships.
It's not knowing what you don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
And
that's why our course has it in it. And
Yeah.
I just want to say it flat out. If you've ever seen anything
Yeah.
anything about like, oh, this the kind of like woo-woo stuff, it's a big deal.
It's
And
a really big
if
deal.
you
And
want-
it's only getting more.
yeah. And
The
if you-
world is becoming far more open to understanding the placebo effect, understanding the power their own mind has in creating success, motivation, and like wellness.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big thing.
Well, the pandemic has been, again, a bittersweet part of it. The sweet part
Yeah.
is health.
Yeah.
And the dire of what happens without it.
Yeah, or how mentally stressed people are. I mean, how many times people are binge eating because they're stressed, and there's just so much going on, and you just look and you're like, it's not even about your physique, BMI, any of that. It's about your soul and your heart, and like you're going through some pain right now. And what we get to deliver and serve up in fitness is really unique, but we can't fool ourselves that it's just about how you look naked or even the functional movement that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's more than that.
Dives deeper.
It's deeper.
So if this podcast gave you anything, I hope it gives you this sense that there is the mental side of it, and you're a practitioner of it, whether you like it or not. And I hope that you kind of do a self-check like we've done ourselves and say,
Yeah.
what more can we offer? How can we get in a little deeper? And by all means, you know it, hairdressers and personal trainers, we're kind of the second tier of the mental health space, besides those licensed, doctors and practitioners. And it doesn't mean that you have to go there, but I want you to be able to go there confidently because that's going to grow your practice. It's going to grow your business. It's going to have people connect to you. And your job is to make people feel better.
Yeah.
And if people want to
That's
do
why
it
people
on a
come back.
Pilates reformer, great. If they want to do it with an Olympic bar overhead, great. If they want to do it with a Bosu ball and a jump rope, great. It doesn't matter. I really want to say that. It doesn't matter because they need to be in it for life.
Yeah. But if you wanted to skill stack strategically, you would go into self-awareness and like really understand like you're unique.
You have to start with yourself.
Like start with you.
Big
really
deal.
explore where you shine. And own it and step in with the confidence of that. And as you're building your skill set, you're anchoring to what you're really naturally good at. Then I do think you do need some science, biomechanics, and some intelligence around movement that's going to even create more confidence for you. Because again, it comes back to when you know things, you respond with confidence and that assuredness that calms people, that creates trust. And then you definitely can't ignore the way you can create and motivate and inspire people to move better, feel into their bodies, really get to that next level. You have to be next level. And we can't trade on personality beyond that.
Yeah. No, it's
And
just
what I
it's
would-
going to hit a limitation.
Yeah, so to me, like as Michael talked about the movement master and the entertainer trainer, like look at that as ends of a spectrum. And there's sweet spots all over that spectrum, but likely more in the middle than on the far outreaching sides. If all you deliver is like a movement dialed, personality less experience, you need to kind of bring in some fun.
Be excited for
Bring
the
in-
opportunity.
Yeah, bring in some motivation, really curate an experience. And understand that as you're skill building and stacking your skills, you're going to bias towards the newest information that you're learning. And we talk about this all the time. Like you guys talk about when you guys were as a team learning about the human body and you were like deep diving on the foot. Suddenly every client
Everyone's
had
got a foot problem.
because it's what you're processing.
Right.
That's what happens too is your skill building anytime. Like if you go hard into movement science, your shift in your service is likely to bias towards a more rigid, less human connection service, but you just want to pendulum that sucker back and when you're ready to soft skill build and really understand human hearts and motivation. And when you can do that, the byproduct is your human relationships improve.
Right.
It's really fascinating, but like you end up creating and curating the best of both worlds in a way that's a really blended product that shows you as such a well-rounded human, and you have that emotional intelligence and intelligence quotient, and you come at it from both sides, and you've curated this very intentional experience that doesn't have to suffer from lack of movement science and doesn't have to suffer from human connection and uplifting hearts.
Yeah, I dig it, and I kind of want to go for another hour on this topic. So for you guys, if you're curious about more about what we're kind of doing, again, there's so many resources out there. Check out our YouTube channel, Gymnazo. Go there. There's descriptions. There's links on just this topic of the mental side. We have a mini course just on the soft skills of it all.
Yeah.
And you can kind of do a quick little deep dive into that. Message us, DM us, whatever the case is. We love this whole concept in our coaching office. We talk about it a lot. And even our members that are listening, like, we dive into this.
Yeah.
And it's because we realize that we are physical beings, we're mental beings, and we're soulful beings. And that's not a scary topic. That's not a scary topic. It's just understanding that it is there. And if we can touch you the way that you need to be touched, and I mean that mentally and soulfully, then I think that's a big, big aspect that our industry has, but doesn't fully know how to yield it in the powerful way that it can be.
Yeah, like if you're doing it, it's because you're doing it by default, or maybe you're unconsciously competent,
Right.
which we talk about obviously in the corporate America world. It's like being consciously competent is what you want to get to. But there are people who have results they don't even know how to explain. That also hurts their business because they can't replicate anything because they don't know the strategy that they have.
Right.
But so often we know in fitness people come to you for a beach body, but you know they need something else like mobility. It's the same thing when trainers come to us and say, how do you make us the best we could possibly be? And it's like, okay, we can give you all the knowledge in the world, but if you can't drop it in a way that people feel is a magnetic way to receive, like, don't roll your eyes. That's what you need. You need some delivery. You're a natural communicator, but you need more around that. It's got to be cultivated. And we've done it trainings on our team for years where it's like, what are we training on? I thought we were going to do like elbow mechanics or whatever, if that's even a thing. And it's like, no, we're going to dive into the Enneagram. And it's like, what? But then it opens up all these conversations, all the self-awareness, like all this deep dive, and so much comes out of that, where we've had multiple trainers come back and go, that was actually some of the most valuable content ever. And it just goes straight back to leadership training. Like, if you're a trainer, you are a leader. And most of the time, you're leading groups of people that are more, that are maybe different demographic than you. You're younger than them, often cases. They're more professionally established than you. They probably earn more than you. There's a lot of intimidation. But you can step in and be that leader that commands respect. And when you do it with intention, you get CEOs of huge companies coming up to you and me, or you're the business owner, or you, if you are the business owner, congratulating you for your masterful communication and curating a critical experience for them. And that's when you know you've been strategic.
Yeah. Dig it. Paden, thanks for your time.
Right back at you.
Right on. All right. We'll see you guys next time.